Good morning, it's Robin, Lavon Bee Farm. Just moved our boar pigs, Kunekunes, over to their new paddock. There they are in there. This was where they were at the last 12 days. Of course, 2 days ago we got a good bit of rain, some yesterday. Anyway, so it was already looking pretty bare in here. They'd already went through and tore everything down best they could, but the rain really allowed them to do a number on this front area. So got them in here. There's a new paddock for the next 12 days, 10 to 12, depending on how it goes, but probably 12 is what we shoot for. Got to fill their water up. Just got it moved over. But yep, they're in here. This is the back side of the paddock they were in. So I need to come through, do a little trimming, take some of this this junk out of here. It'd be easier to get to since they've kind of trampled down some of the briars that were in there. Not all of them, but some of them. Looking for the same thing in here. This is basically what it looked like before. A lot of these weeds and vines. No real grass to speak of, a lot of leaves. Yeah, a little patch of grass right there, but back here in the wooded area, not a lot of grass. Now, of course, out here on the front side of the paddock, we do have some clover, a little bit of, probably got a little rye in here, a tree coming up there, a couple of them. Anyway, so they'll have a good bit of stuff to eat in this area. I've got some chicory coming up here that I did a broadcast plant on. And then, of course, just like they did over there, I mean, you can see that there's a little bit of green here and there on the lower couple of feet of this paddock. And over here, of course, it's all brown. They've wiped all that out as high as they can reach. They've taken it out. So we'll come back to these previous paddocks. Need to turn their fence on anyway. So this is where they were at 13 days ago. They left out of here. And so similar deal, you've got everything that they could reach gone, minus got some things that are obviously growing back right here, and some budding coming back on, well, not budding, but some regrowth on some of this stuff because they were gone. And then this would have been 25 days ago they left out of this one. Same kind of deal, stuff coming back. No real grass yet. Now we've moved the cows into this one. This is where they were at, I guess 47 days ago, I suppose. Anyway, there was some grass here, and of course the cows mowed that down, the little bit of grass, but you can still see if you've seen the video before, you can see that defined line here where the pig fence was at. So this hasn't regrown yet. They won't be coming back here for at least another, I think we've got 36 days before they'll come back to this one. At least 24, but I'm hoping to get a third paddock, even if I have to bring it out into the pasture a little bit to buy that 36 days, get that extra 12 days on another paddock. And I don't know how many times it's going to take running them through here before we get some grasses growing, but we're certainly into spring, coming up on summer before we know it. So it's a hope that they'll start seeing some improvement in there. But if not, we'll just keep running them through, and it gives them a good area to keep them healthy on fresh ground. They got their bathroom in the corner in the back, so keep moving them down this tree line. So again, this is a good sized paddock here, certainly for a good 12 days. And this next paddock is going to be fine for 12 days as well. I have to do a little bit of clearing out, but it's almost already good to go. Just got to take out a couple little things, run the fence down through here. Their fence that'll come through here, so I just got a little bit of clearing out some of that stuff on the ground. And then their final paddock is going to be this one, which lengthwise is okay, but it tapers. The fence in the back tapers up because these trees back there, the ground starts sloping off and going down to the ditch. So I had to bring the fence this way so we don't get the full width that we're getting on these other paddocks. So it may come a little bit further out than I've been coming out off the woods. I may come a little bit further out here into my tracks to buy them a little more time, or I may just not run them 12 days here. I may go ahead and maybe only run them about 6 or 7. But it's still a decent size because it is the full depth here. So I think we can get 6 days out of there without getting into too much concern. We just have to play it by ear. But anyway, I wanted to show y'all how we're moving them along, and this system I think is going to work really well. As of now, we're going to keep using the pig net, but we may swap over to cattle panels like we have running on the actual perimeter. We may just come in where we have these nets ran and just replace them with cattle panels and T-post and just go ahead and set up permanent paddocks for these guys. Given the fact that we're shooting for that 12-day in each spot, even if we decided to cut it down to 10 because they started really doing a lot of damage during maybe the real rainy season, we would accelerate their moves. That's all we would do. We wouldn't really give them a bigger paddock size. We would just move them a little bit quicker. So haven't made that decision yet because we want to make sure we're happy with how we're spacing this out. But the big thing being, of course, deciding how far out we would come off of the wood line, because we do want to get a little bit out here where they always have some grass to work off of. But of course, we come too far out and it's really sloppy through here, and we want to make sure that we're bale grazing the cows through here to try to get even more regeneration of the soil here, build the topsoil up, kind of get away from some of these deep spots. Some of this is just tracks from the tractor and the side-by-side and the shade structure over there dragging it around, and when we had some pretty rough rain. But this is just a natural low spot from this old field that drains right out here, where of course this low spot is, you can see. I mean, the pigs did that courtesy of the rain, and you can see it slopes down because this is you can't see the ditch real well, but you can kind of tell that it kind of narrows down. It tapers into a ditch here that goes down into a very large ditch. So this is the natural drain of this field, and it all comes through here. So this is something we'll have to contend with. It may be a situation where we just put a gate here and here so that they can't, so all they do is just travel through this and they don't actually have any time here, because otherwise they're going to really turn this into a much bigger problem. Now, I mean, it could be a waller for them, but if they're here too long, and especially as we're playing with the idea of maybe bringing in a Berkshire for feeders, we are thinking about maybe just toying with the idea at the moment, but maybe getting a Berkshire sow, crossing it with the Kunekune boars, and see if we can generate a feeder pig that'll be able to have a little more accelerated growth to a market weight. Still obviously have our Kunekune feeders, have a couple of them that are more of a long term, plus we get the lard from them. But to get us some pork in the freezer a little quicker, and not have to have such a long period of time to wait. We're really thinking about that, so we'll have to see. If we do that, we're going to of course have to get rid of one of our breeding Kunekune sows and just replace her with a Berkshire, and then we have to contend with what that sow is going to what she's going to do in their area. So that's going to be something we have to deal with. But then certainly when we get into the feeder side of things in here, not that the Berkshires are going to really be any kind of issue with the netting, the feeder Berkshire cross with the Kunes. But I mean, you can see here, the Kunes push up a little bit of debris, leaves and stuff up onto their net. And it's okay, but when very aware of the fact that the Berkshire is going to do a little bit more of that, and with all we have going on, it may be just easier to manage this with a cattle panel setup. And if we were only doing pigs, we would look at pig panels, or maybe we'd be less inclined to look at the cattle panels. But the thought is that we'll do a follow the leader system with our buck goats, bring them over, and then of course they'll get higher into these trees, and certainly they'll do a better job of eating down some of these briars, since that's the kind of browse that they're going to really like. So we'll be able to get a lot more forage for them out of this. So that's why we're leaning towards the cattle panels as well, is because we'll do that follow the leader system with the goats and then the pigs. And in that case, we're not going to go with pig nets, and I really don't want to be out here moving sheep and goat nets. So it's going to make a lot more sense in the long term to go ahead and set up the cattle panels. It's obviously going to be a significant investment to do that with cattle panels, but we already have cattle panels as our perimeter fence around this whole thing. This is a lease property, and so we might consider cattle panels on the in-betweens, coming off the back fence, coming forward, and then maybe our front fence would be a welded wire fence. But not sure about that. I like the idea with this property that we're able to use the cattle. We can change things around if we need to, if we have to yield back some of the pasture in a different area. We can easily do that. With the cattle panels. With the wire, it becomes a much bigger nightmare. That wire's then, it's not useless, but it's not going to serve a fencing purpose very well if we have to come in and cut out about 20 to 30 feet or 40, 50 feet and then move it. Whereas with the cattle panels, we just drop a few of them out, move the T-post, change the configuration, and we're good. And then of course over here we'd have the same thing. We decided to change the configuration for some reason in here. If we decided not to use the pigs and the goats in here anymore for whatever reason that would be, then we can just easily remove those cattle panels. So while they are much more expensive, they are not just an investment in the infrastructure, but they're an asset that can be utilized in different ways here, elsewhere, or other property, at the house. I mean, we can do lots of different things with them. If you hadn't watched my early videos when I put this together, fencing setup, instead of just using the T-post clips, and this of course makes it really easy to take these off. It's just use the impact wrench on the backside to loosen this, which adjusts the height on where it tightens down on the T-post, height on the T-post, and then of course here this is what attaches the cattle panel and holds it attached to the T-post. So these obviously come off really easily with an impact. I mean, yeah, I have to swap sockets from this 3/4 to, I forget what this one is back here. I want to say it's a 3/8, but I'm not 100% sure on that. It could be a 1/2 inch, but at any rate, it's 2 sockets, and these come off really easily, and it makes reconfiguring these really well. Now, that is One Man Fencing LLC. If you like this setup, I'd recommend checking them out. I also just got, and I don't have any over here, but I just got an order in lockjaws, and they look very similar to the typical T-post clip that you get at any hardware store, supply store, feed store, Tractor Supply, whatever. It looks very similar to those T-post clip, except it's a spring-loaded. I say spring, not an actual spring, but the way it gives, and so you don't actually have to twist it around. And I may put out a video showing those, and so they're easily removable. So you don't have to take your pliers and undo them, and then at that point, after you do it so many times, that clip's gonna break just with wire. This is actually spring-loaded, so it hooks on, and I mean it's a little bit of a pain to get on, especially when you overlap two panels together on the same T-post. It is a bit of a challenge, but you can actually do it without a tool. You can use your fingers now when you overlap them. I actually just started using an extra spring, the lockjaw T-post clip, and use that clip to pull another clip to stretch it in to where it hooked on, and then of course it just comes right off really easy. So I started doing that even on the ones where I could have done it with just my fingers. It just made it a little bit easier and kind of saved my thumb. But I can show those. Those work pretty good. I don't remember the difference in price. That's something I'll look at and put in the video when I show that. But I'm pretty sure that the price was a good bit cheaper for those spring-loaded ones. I don't know how they'll hold up. I assume they're going to hold up well. We've got our goats over there up against the fence, so I'll know probably pretty short order whether or not they hold up well. I don't see any reason why they wouldn't. They fit on really, really well. So that may be a better option for the cattle panel attachment. And of course you can use it for not just cattle panels to T-post, you can use it for welded wire as well. So like I said, I will put a video on that and show that, and when I do, I'll make sure I've got the cost on that as well. So I'm gonna end it here, get one more shot of the Kunekunes over here. They're starting to really forage. They were eating their feed over here, but they've obviously eaten it. So you see the big guy Clyde, he's munching down on some stuff back there. All right, we'll see you later, Clyde. All right, well, y'all have a great day, and thanks for watching. Please give me a like and a subscribe. I'd appreciate it. And just keep looking out for more videos, Kunekunes, and everything else we got going here.